What's up guys, Nolan here, and I have been following the development of Escape from Tarkov just about as closely as anybody possibly could follow it for several years now. When it comes to planned features and how they will work in a game like Escape from Tarkov, I think there's a lot to be taught about what is to come. With features like the karma system, map-to-map travel, NPC factions, high explosives, mines, advanced movement, buddy healing, and more, I think there's a lot left to learn waiting for a lot of people out there. So today, I'm going to give that first lesson by breaking down what I believe a normal play session will look like when Escape from Tarkov is actually feature complete. But first, for the first time ever, I would like to thank the sponsor for today's video. Today's video is sponsored by FRAG Pro Shooter, one of the best shooter games of 2020 designed for mobile devices. FRAG has more than 70 million total and 1 million daily active players. It's totally free to play, skill-based gameplay, and you will get a special reward if you use my link in the description to join today. The goals are easy: destroy the enemy bunkers as quickly as possible while fighting off opposing players. The first player to destroy all of the opposing team's bunkers wins. To help you achieve this, you have more than 90 characters to collect, all with specific styles and powers. Select your team to create your deck and build your own strategy to defeat your enemies. There is always new content where each new version has a new fragger. The newest addition is the legendary Zap Girl in her infantry attack role. She's traveled far to answer Frag's call and has become a real superstar once she started to strike down all of her opponents using her lightning tower. Zap Girl's electrically charged tower will slow and zap everyone around it for constant damage, so I'd hide from that if I were you. There's 3 main game modes: Payload, 2v2, and Street Frag. Personally, I enjoyed playing the 2v2 mode where I got to team up with my little cousin. This is where you can choose 3 characters from a deck of 6 while your partner gets the other 3. In this 2v2 mode, you can build this team with a friend or a random player to go head-to-head against 2 other players from around the world. There's some free rewards waiting for you, but only if you use my link in the description, including if you've already installed Frag on your device. When you do join, be sure to check out my club that I set up called The Nice Guys. Thanks again to Frag for sponsoring this video and helping me keep doing what I do on the channel. Now, before we get started, I would like to remind everyone that I am not a part of BSG's dev team. I am just a super fan of the project, and everything I'm about to talk about is, of course, subject to change. Now today I'm going to try my best to tell the story of a post-launch play session as clearly as possible with some visual support here and there. So picture you just opened up the game and you're deciding what to do. Let's say today's goal is to kill one of the scav bosses on streets. So you move to get a proper loadout together where some of the items you have and some you do not. You see that you need a couple mags for your AK. You jump on the laptop in the hideout to see what the traders might have for you. Prapper is not awake right now. Mechanic is out of AK mags, but Skier and Peacekeeper have some, so you decide to grab a couple from Peacekeeper because you think his are better. The future of trade in Escape from Tarkov includes these dynamic situations where the traders we know now will not always work the same way. They will have times where they are running low on stock, they won't be available to trade at all, or have to change prices due to events in the open world. This is a super simple example of how you will need to make decisions around what is happening in that current Tarkov economy. And for the sake of ease, we are just going to completely avoid any flea market discussions for today, as we do not know how that will actually work in the end game between all this found and raid stuff, or even, if the flea market will even be a thing anymore. Now that you have your magazines, you realize that you are out of grenades, so killing the scav boss and his crew might be a bit too difficult without them. You decide to go visit one of the in-raid traders to get some bigger boom and make things a bit easier. There are plans for having in-raid only traders in the future. Exactly how many there will be and where you will find them is still to be determined. However, it's safe to say that they will have good items to trade, so it's worth your time and the risk to actually go use them. In this example, the trader with explosives is at the lighthouse location, which is pretty open, so you want to be able to move quickly. You grab a marksman rifle and a pistol to stay light and to be able to easily engage at long distances while still being flexible with close quarter engagements. Tarkov is of course known for its weapons and the modding of them. Things will only get more advanced from here, but generally feel the same. There are cool changes coming by way of free movement of attachments up and down the entire rails on the weapons, and being able to more efficiently mod things in raid with the use of a multi-tool or just tools in general. So you grab a light chest rig, then you put some mag and med pouches on it only as you plan on making this a quick trip. You then put the best armor plate that you have in the front for the most efficient weight to protection setup. The custom rig and armor hitbox system is explained in detail in my video on it linked below. However, the TLDR is that you will be able to fully customize your rigs to use whatever pouches that you want in whatever combination you want, allowed by that size and type of the rig. This also includes including, of course, if the rig has that molly system or whatever system that might be needed to do the pouches. Included in that will be the custom armor plates and their new hitbox system. Armor plates are planned to be able to be swapped in and out of appropriate rigs, even mid-raid. Now that you're good to go, you head out to Lighthouse by way of Customs. You decide to take the road from Customs all the way down the coast through Shoreline and then to the Lighthouse, as you think it will be safer to have the water to one side of you. Open world is still the plan for Escape from Tarkov, and we don't know too many specific details about it, but we do know at the very least we will be testing this with map-to-map travel. The way you see the current map roughly represents the specific locations of the current maps compared to each other. We don't know how we will be able to choose to enter the world from your hideout, but for the sake of this example, let's say that you can enter near Customs. You would then move from there as described. So you moved quietly through Customs and are now on the road down the coast to Shoreline. You see the Russian military is manning their stations at terminals, so you decide to cut through the field and around them to avoid any problems. You remember that you recently sniped a couple of them off of their positions for some gear, and they probably are looking out for you, or at the very least more cautious because of that recent attack. NPC factions such as the Russian military, UN, and Russian special forces are planned to come to the game. The current info on them is that they will each have their purposes. Some guard checkpoints, some will patrol specific areas, and some will even hunt down certain players depending on their allegiances or their recent behavior. Not being friendly with certain factions has its consequences, where in this case you may not be able to easily enter the terminal location or at least even pass by it safely. You continue down that coast road and decide to bop a couple of scavs in your way. After taking a second to look around, you cautiously move to go loot them. Mid-looting, you hear the sound of someone aiming down their sights behind you along with some bushes. You hear someone tell you not to move and that you have two shotguns pointing at you. A couple low-level USECs were passing by and noticed that you were also a USEC, so they didn't shoot you immediately. And since you aren't already dead, you assume they want something from you and decide to hear them out. After some back and forth, you realize that you're all heading to the same place and decide to team up. You keep your distance with respectable caution from there. With the karma system, players will have a sort of forced sense of morality and be rewarded for it. This is in the hopes that the game will become more than your average kill-on-sight survival first-person shooter. Nothing actually physically stopped those two low-level PMCs from killing you, and they very likely discussed it, at least, since you do have that nice marksman rifle and gear. This is all something to keep in mind once karma is in the game. VOIP will be a massive help in coordinating with other players. I've described the karma system and different uses for it several times in different ways, all of which you can find more details on in the videos linked below. You continue down the road as a group with reasonable caution for each other when suddenly one of the two low-level PMCs gets sniped. You work with the second PMC to draw fire from the sniper to find their location, and you take them out with your marksman rifle. You pop smoke around the downed PMC and tell his buddy to go check him. He yells back that he is unconscious but still alive, so you tell him to drag his buddy into cover and to start working on him. After some time and work, the second PMC comes back and you're able to continue. There's still a lot to be answered about the future medical systems in Escape from Tarkov, but unconscious states and buddy healing are, as of right now, both planned. The advanced animations like dragging or carrying bodies, as well as working ladders and vaulting, are also planned. Eventually, you get to Lighthouse, lower your weapons, and walk in to see the trader there. All three of you guys buy what you're looking for and then head back out. Again, the subject of in-raid traders and how they will work is still unknown, other than the fact that they will be a thing. It's said that they might have some kind of mock safe zone around them that would be guarded by NPCs. Knowing Escape from Tarkov, my guess is that you will be able to kill these NPCs and even the trader themselves, but that's still unknown specifically. However, given the karma system and reputations in this game, I feel like that is a very, very bad idea. After this, you part ways with the two PMCs and head north towards Customs again. You pass by a loot dead drop and leave some of the extra things that you picked up at the trader, then push north to Customs and then back to your hideout. There are planned to be multiple loot dead drops where you can safely deposit your loot to go back to your stash in some way while you get to stay in the raid. This is of course a good way to save any high ticket items in case you're worried about not making it out or want to keep moving. In this case, you didn't want to make this trip again, so to be safe, you dropped the grenades and some extra items just to be safe. Some of the dead drops will work differently than normal extracts, meaning that you as a person cannot actually extract there, but your gear can, although some of these are said to work exactly like normal extracts as well, except you just won't go with it. In your hideout, you change your vest to include grenade pouches as well as extra mag and med pouches. You put a second armor plate in the back of your rig for extra protection, seeing as you'll be going into a close quarters environment. On top of that, you also notice that it's getting dark, so you grab some NVGs and toss some extra batteries in a backpack along with extra meds, ammo, water, an energy bar, and a gas mask. With the implementation of map-to-map travel and open world, we'll need to get used to worrying more about our conditions in raid as we stay out longer and longer. Included in that is batteries, as most high-ticket electronic devices will require them in the future, such as night vision and thermal devices. You'll want to watch out for radiation or dangerous environments as well, as those are planned, but we have little detail on how they will work specifically. My guess is that a gas mask will help you out with that. You set out the same as before through customs, where you work your way up to interchange, then into the suburbs outside of streets. You see a scav moving around in the trash behind a house and pop a couple shots at him through a fence. Throughout the day, you've had small scattered engagements with scavs, but this time you hear a scav player yell back at you using VoIP. After a little back and forth, you decide to work with him, but you make him give you his SKS. If he had a different weapon, maybe you'd let him keep it, but the SKS could do some damage to you if he decided to use it. The only reason you're still talking to this player scav is because you remembered that a scav exit is very close by to that scav boss on streets, so you tell this player scav he'll get a bit of the scav boss loot if he comes along. Plus, there's the added benefit of whatever you get from using the scav exit karma-wise. I was not kidding when I said the karma system will be one of the biggest changes in Escape from Tarkov. A situation like this is just not going to happen in the Tarkov we know now. After karma is fully implemented for both scavs and PMCs, there is endless possibilities for the kinds of trouble that you can get into with a system like this. So with your new unarmed scav friend, you make it to streets and get to the car dealership where the scav boss you need to kill is supposed to be hanging out. You post up in a nearby apartment building to do some recon and notice that the boss is there with his shiny belt-fed light machine gun, and he seems to actually be alone. You line up the shot and are able to get him, but the job isn't over yet. You need to loot him. You make your way downstairs of that apartment building to get over and get a closer look. As you are doing this, you start to wonder where the boss's guards were and why he was alone. Then you start to think about all the XP that you're going to get for this raid and the money that you're going to get for that RPD. Then you remember your scav buddy is still there, so you also need to watch out for him in case he tries any funny business, and then the screen goes black. You are left super confused about where you went wrong, as you did notice right before the screen went black, your scav buddy was still unarmed. So you go and look at the drone footage a couple hours later. This feature specifically has been talked about as planned in the past and is a big ask, but I see it as absolutely vital for the future of the game. The current idea is that after a raid is complete or after a certain amount of time has gone by, you can get access to a replay of the raid with something like a theater mode. This will allow you to learn from your mistakes and will be cool for making videos as well as spectating tournaments. With that drone footage, you see that a bear player was eyeballing that scav player when you rolled up on him, and he was planning on shooting you when you looted him, but once you teamed up with him and took his gun away, he decided to stalk you. As you lay on the ground in that doorway of that apartment building on streets, the bear player moves up on your scav friend before he could pick up any guns and tells him that that scav friend is now his scav friend. From there, the bear player goes and loots the boss and his guards, which were actually killed by another group of PMCs, but the boss killed those PMCs. So the bear player uses the scav to get out of the raid using the scav exit and takes all of the good loot, including yours, with him. Welcome to Tarkov. No matter what point of development we're in, this is still Tarkov. Everything can change in the blink of an eye, and it will find ways to punch you in the gut on a regular basis. The game will still feel somewhat similar to what it does now. There will just be a lot more cool things to do and to think about. Just don't get caught doing too much thinking and not enough playing, or you might get caught off guard like in the case of this little story here. When all put together, I think this little story paints a really, really cool picture for a really interesting game that you just don't get anywhere else, and that to me is what I signed up for Escape from Tarkov. But we have a long way to go. This was my full explanation of what I think a normal play session of Escape from Tarkov will look like once we have all of the current planned features. You might disagree with something that I've said here, and if that is the case, please let me know in the comments or come by one of my morning streams and we can discuss it. However, that is it for today, guys. If you want the latest Escape from Tarkov news or content in general, then check out these playlists here. If you like this video, then you know the drill. Please subscribe. I really appreciate the people who do. If you like more games than just Tarkov, check out my second channel where we're going to be getting into Ashes of Creation very soon. Otherwise, I hope you have a nice day. See you guys.